Hey guys, good to see you again. This is Andre from PSDBox, and in this video I want to show you how I make abstract shapes in Photoshop. And I'll show you one of the shapes I just made a few minutes ago, which is this one. And I want to show you the techniques that I use to make this kind of shapes. I have a pack of images like this on my website. That's a premium pack, so it's not a free pack, but I'll show you some of the techniques that I used to make this kind of shapes, because these shapes are made entirely in Photoshop. And you can see all the layers that I have, and I'll show you how you can start working on this, some tips and how to add colors, how to add light effects, and how to make all this kind of cool shapes. So I'll just close this. And start a new document. Now the dimensions that I use are usually 4,000 pixels or more, because I want to use this as stock images. So especially if you want to sell them, you need to have really high resolutions, because people can use them on publications, on magazines, and stuff like that, and they really need high resolution images. For this one I'll use 3000 pixels because I'm also recording the video. And for the resolution I'll always use 300 pixels per inch. And the color mode that I use is RGB, but make sure to change this to 16 bits, because that will give you a lot more quality on the transitions if you use smooth gradients and stuff like that. And the colors are richer and they look a lot better. So use 16-bit, you get a lot more quality. Also the file sizes will increase quite a lot, so keep that in mind. And click OK. Well, you can also use the background contents from here. I use a black background. In this case I have the color set to white and blue, so let's leave this on white and click OK. We'll change this background, we'll fill it with black, because what I will do is use these shapes on the screen blend mode, so that way all this black will go away and we will only have those shapes there. And the shape that you've just seen, I will include that on a second pack that I will make, and I will provide the PSD files, the brush versions of those shapes, so you can customize them and use them however you want. So you can also change the background and just do whatever you want with them. But let me show you some of the techniques that I use to make that kind of shapes. So the first thing I do once I have the background and set the image to 16 bits is create a base color. And I'll create that on a new layer using a big soft brush, and just use really dark colors. You can use gray as well, but I like to use colors, because the secret of this kind of shapes is really stacking up layers and using blend modes. And if I use a color as a base color, later when I will add more layers, the blend modes and all the effects that I will add will interact with these colors, and you get better results. So use the really dark colors to make this base, and just make a few strokes, a couple of strokes like that, and maybe one more with green, and make the brush a bit smaller. I will not name the layers here. I will not spend time on that. That's my base color. I know it's barely visible, but we will add more shapes, and it will help. I'll create a new layer. As I said, you have to create a lot of layers. And let's make the first shape. One of the techniques that I use, and it's the technique that I use more often, is use the soft brush and use bright colors like that one, and just click once and select another color and paint on the same layer. Maybe change the brush size slightly and get another color. Just add a few colors, 3 or 4, don't add too many, it's not necessary. and let's use a better blue color and a bigger one, something like that. And what I usually do is apply the Gaussian blur to just mix the colors a bit better. So go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, just add a few pixels of blur just to mix the colors a bit. And what I do now is just press Ctrl T to load the free transform, right click and select warp. And now you have all the creativity in the world just here. You don't have to worry what you're doing. Of course, after a while you will start to understand how this tool works, and you will kind of want to create some custom shapes. But if it's the first time you use this tool, just go crazy and try shapes like this. When you're done, press enter, and if you don't like the shape, press Ctrl Z to undo, press Ctrl T and do it again, and just do some shapes. Let's go with this one. And well, that's my first shape. If you don't like the colors, you can press Ctrl U to load the hue saturation and just change the colors. Let's work with this one, maybe increase the saturation but not too much. Oh yeah, I like this one. Oh yeah, I really like this this color combination. Click OK, and I want to make it a bit smaller because I will duplicate this. And let's see the edges, how they look quite nice. So that's a bit of work on making a shape like the one you've just seen, but it's a lot of fun. And let me rotate it a bit, and I'll duplicate this, pressing Ctrl J. Again, working with keyboard shortcuts, it's really going to save you a lot of time. So if you're planning to make shapes, and you'll have to learn the keyboard shortcuts for things like duplicating, applying adjustments and things like that, because it will be very useful. So I'll press Ctrl T to load the free transform. I'll flip it horizontally and use the same shape to make something like this. So I'll probably end up with the shape similar to the one that you've just seen. I'll rotate this one a bit. If you press the shift key, you can see that you will rotate things in 15-degree increments. So let's rotate that 30 degrees, and this one as well. And I'll move. You will see that I'll move both of them at the same time, selecting both layers because I want to keep them at the same level. And well, let's see what else we can do. Another shape. Try again the same technique, and let's paint a blue color. Like that. Some orange. I'll make the brush a bit smaller, and maybe some red right there in the middle. And again, I'll press Ctrl T, warp, and let's see what we can get. A shape that can complement the other two shapes that we got there. Let's see how this one looks. I don't really like it. I'll undo and try again. So this is a lot of trial and error and just experimenting with shapes. I'll show you some other techniques to get shapes like this. Let's see this one. Okay, I like this one. And well, you can place it here, or let's see. Let's try changing the colors again with hue saturation. I like this one, and again I'll duplicate the shape. Well, actually, let me find a good place for this one. I'll flip it vertically to see if I can fit it somewhere here. Well, I like this position right here, so I'll place it right there, duplicate it with Ctrl J, and flip it horizontally. And we get this. So it starts to look nice. And one thing I want to do is make more variations of this. So I'll select both layers and press the Alt key, hold it, click on this layers and drag up until you see that that line appears there. And when I let go, I'll create a duplicate of those layers, and I'll press Ctrl E to merge them, and that way I have both of them on the same layer. And well, you can move them up just like that, or and you can see you get different results, and you can change the hue saturation, the hue actually of each shape, and get variations like so. Or another thing that I wanted to do initially, but I just found that duplicating that and putting one on top of the other, it might look nice, but what I wanted to do originally is apply a filter to that. So you can see that you have a lot of options here. You can do whatever you want, just be creative. You can do something like that, or you can move them there, or whatever you can do whatever you want. What I wanted to do is apply the distort filter, but some filters are not available on the 16 bits mode, so I'll have to change the mode to 8 bits and go to filter, distort, and I'll apply the polar coordinates filter and click OK, and see how it distorts the shape. You can get something like that, and maybe place it here. And you can apply that filter several times by pressing Ctrl and F, and it applies the filter several times. Well, several times depending on how many times you press the F key. So you can get something like that. You can try changing the colors. Okay, and another filter that you can apply, I will undo, is the wave filter, using again the distort option. Just reduce the scale a bit and increase the wavelength and the amplitude. You can see on the preview here how the shape changes. You can get this kind of abstract kind of look, but I want to stick with this geometric shape. So what I will do next is start applying some light effects, because this looks a bit flat or boring. So I'll add some light effects using a soft brush, and I created a new layer above all the other layers. I'll change the blend mode to color dodge and use some colors, but the colors that you use here depend on how bright these areas are. So if you use a bright color like this, it might not look too nice. Let's see, you might burn the entire image. So as you can see, it's not looking too nice. So just use dark tones. That's the secret of this blend mode. Use dark tones of these colors, and click OK. And let's add more light there and change the color. You can even use different colors for example, here I don't want to use green. I can use this kind of orange, for example, and see how that changes that color. But it's too strong, so let's use a dark tone like that. Maybe a bit more towards yellow. So before and after. Another thing you can do is use selections. Use the elliptical marquee tool and draw a selection like this, and I'll use the brush tool. I already created the layer. Use a really soft brush and just paint on the edges like so, and you get something like that. I'll change the image mode back to 16 bits and press Ctrl T again to load the free transform, and I'll put that shape somewhere here. And let's try blend modes. Overlay is not going to look nice because that's black. The background there is black, but I can put it on top of this of the shapes, and duplicate that, rotate it a bit, and duplicate that again, and rotate it again. So now I have three shapes like that. I just merged them, pressing Ctrl E, and I'll change the blend mode to overlay and put that there, and duplicate again, switch horizontal and place them here somewhere, and you get those. You can get that effect there, but in this case it's not looking too nice, so I'll just delete that layer. What you can do is use the pen tool, also use the path option, and you can draw a selection like that. Right click and choose make selection, and just I have to invert that, and just do the same. Use a soft brush, paint along the selection. Oops, but I have to create a new layer first, and just paint with white, something like that, and just change the blend mode to soft light or overlay, and I will duplicate that, flip it horizontally, and that way just now I'm just adding details to this, so you can see that that light there, that shape there, that's barely visible, but it's there. So now create another layer and maybe just do the same, make a big selection, and you can even paint on the same layer, but let's create a new layer, because as I said, layering is the secret of this. And you can see it's too strong, so I'll maybe drag it up. It's not looking nice. I'll leave it here and reduce the opacity. I actually don't like how that looks, so I'll delete it. Well, let's move to something else. One cool thing that you can do is using brushes. So the first thing I'll do actually is get the pen tool, make sure I have the path selected, and let's say I want to add some dots here along this. I'll get the pen tool, as I said, make sure I have the path selected, and I can draw a path like that there. And now I have to get the brush tool, because I have to customize this brush, and open the brushes window pressing F5, or from the window menu go to brushes right here, and make sure you activate shape dynamics, and make sure you have pen pressure selected. Leave the size and everything else to 0, and then go to brush tip shape and increase the spacing just a bit, and also increase the hardness to 100%, and decrease the diameter of the brush to something like that, and increase the spacing, because I want to have some spacing between these dots, as you can see there. And once you have the brush set up, go back to the pen tool, and with the path active, right click on the screen and select stroke path, and from the tool make sure you have selected the brush, check simulate pressure, and click OK. And that's how you can paint this kind of dots here. And now you can change the blend mode to overlay or soft light or whatever you want. Press Ctrl J to duplicate, and you can move this point here, for example, down here on the bottom. You can rotate it slightly, and now you can duplicate both layers, flip them horizontally, and move them here. And we got some a shape here. And well, what else? That's the basic technique. Another thing you can do is if you don't want to make these shapes, if you don't want to paint the color yourself, you can use a texture. Or on one of the videos that I made, I explained how I use the Chaoscope software to make abstract shapes. Well, you can use one of those renders. Just let me find them. So this is one of the renders that I have, that I made with that program. So you can copy that. Now I can paste that image here, and you can see it's very colorful. And can even increase the colors using hue saturation and maybe shift them a bit like so, and I'll apply some Gaussian blur to this to make it softer. And now you can use the warp tool to get your shapes. Let's see what we get. And as you can see, the edges here don't look too nice, and that's something that sometimes it happens. That's because of the black background, but you can change the blend mode of this to screen, and most of the background will go away, but you can still see that dark area there, which is not looking nice. But that's another technique that you can use. So I hope you liked this and you learned something. As I said, this is all about practicing and experimenting, and just try different filters. The distort filters are really cool. Just try colors, the warp tool, the perspective. Just distort things like crazy, and duplicate layers and move them around, and just see what looks nice. And there are a lot of options that you can use. So well, that's all for this tutorial. These are some of the techniques that I use. If you like this kind of shapes, as I said, I have a pack on my website, and I'm planning to make another pack of shapes, including the PSD files, the brushes, and everything that you need so that you can customize them. So again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.